This video is sponsored by Squarespace. For the past 3 years, I've been working on this never-ending competition piece, The Void Elemental by Creature Caster. She's huge, gorgeously detailed, and I knew would challenge me in the best way. But let's just say, the road to getting her to competition ready has been pretty rocky.
Lyla, why is there a piece of model sitting on the table next to the model?
Because I decided that it would be easier to paint if it wasn't attached.
The painted piece would be easier to paint again. Minutes before we're supposed to walk downstairs and enter that?
Oh, it's a strategy. No one will see it coming.
Sure.
Can you open the glue?
Sure.
And honestly, I'm still not done. This model has turned into a full-on journey with ups, downs, and, well, lots of learning along the way. Today, we're talking about the skills, breakthroughs, and mishaps I've had over the past 3 years of painting and why perseverance is the most important thing of all. This is the Void Elemental by Creature Caster, but around here she's better known as the Curse Elemental, or Curse Baby. When I first saw her, I was immediately inspired. I had this vision of her portal painted like a galaxy with vibrant blues and purples, the object source lighting from the two braziers in her hands in colors of neon orange and magenta, blue, non-metallic metal, and of course, how all those elements would interact with each other and the magical swirls that surround her. But there was one catch when I got her. I had to enter her into Creature Caster's yearly painting competition, Resin Beast. And if I had to enter it, then obviously I wanted to win. So, no pressure. I dove right in with all these big dreams. But then, reality set in. What I thought would be just a month-long project turned into me staying up for 36 hours trying to finish her, then breaking her in the hotel room the night before her first competition submission. In the following 2 years, I would go on to melt a glove to her base, have my airbrush explode all over her twice, and at the last show this past October, she fell off the plinth, almost hitting the floor. So yeah, it's been one thing after another. But somehow I'm still painting and still determined. Then there are more normal problems. Texture buildup from paint, mold line after mold line, changes in color choices. I think I've repainted her chest armor at least 6 times now, this thigh area 4 times, and overall I've probably painted this model at least 2 times over. Every time something went wrong, whether it was a broken piece or yet another repaint, I felt that familiar urge to give up creeping in. What made me think that this next iteration of her would be better? What made me think that I would win Resin Beast when she had just barely placed in all the other contests I've entered her in? But those are moments I had to just set her aside, sometimes for weeks or months, which is part of why it's taken me 3 years. And instead focus on something else to relieve the frustration and rediscover why I was doing this at all. But before we continue, let's talk about Squarespace's newest design features. You know I love Squarespace, so I'm so excited about their new Design Intelligence, which empowers anyone to build a beautiful custom website and digital identity using cutting-edge AI tools. Combine that with Squarespace Payments, the easiest way to manage all your transactions in one place, and of course, my favorite flexible design templates with drag and drop features, Squarespace is a no-brainer for creating your perfect website. When you're ready to start, head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, use code LYLAMEV to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Alright, back to painting. But despite all the setbacks, I can honestly say this model has pushed my skills so much. The chest armor finally looks how I envisioned it. With the several plates that make up her chest piece, it was just really difficult to get reflections that I thought looked realistic. I realized that the two braziers were actually two different elements. One was smoke and one was fire. And it was an interesting challenge getting the two to look different from each other while using the same colors. And I'm so in love with how I painted the swirly magical portal. It really makes them look iridescent. This project has also helped me push my airbrush game. I spent hours perfecting my aim on a piece of paper off to the side before I even considered starting painting on a model. It was only with this project looming over me decided that it was time to put all that practicing and what had maybe become procrastination to use on a model. And as a personal win, it was only through talking to a friend about this piece and my airbrush use that I realized the importance of changing your nozzle. If you feel like your airbrush was working wonderfully and then suddenly it isn't, try a new nozzle and see if that solves your problems. But how did I keep finding the strength to go on? The real turning point was when I finally accepted that it's okay to repaint something if it isn't right. It sounds simple, but at first it was hard to admit that my paint job just wasn't good enough and I needed to rework big sections of her. Once I accepted that not only was it okay, but it was a good thing to repaint areas that needed more work, it became so much easier to keep going. Though my new problem is now that I want to repaint everything to make it as good as I can. Bringing her to life has been one of the hardest things I've ever done in miniature painting, and at this point it's not just about the competition. It's about proving to myself that I can see a project through no matter the challenges. There's still so much left to do on this model. Her skin, for one. It looks like she's wearing skin-colored leggings instead of actually having skin. The base needs a lot of work. One thing Resin Beast looks for is a story, and I'm going to incorporate my story elements into the base. But honestly, more than anything, I'm excited to actually finish her. Not in the I ran out of time way, but in the actually being finished with this project. I've got about 5 months left, and I'm crossing my fingers that that's enough time to make her competition ready. And now as I push through these final stages, I'm looking back at what this journey has taught me. So after 3 years, has it all been worth it? Yes and no. I often find myself looking at this model thinking, 3 years? Really? Where did all that time go? Sometimes I wonder, what on earth did I even do that took so long? But then when I really take a step back and look at her, especially comparing her to earlier versions, I can see just how much progress I've made. I'm proud of how far I've come with her, and even more excited about how much further I'll push her. All the setbacks, all the time spent reworking, it's definitely been a journey, and I know that the amount of heartache and effort poured into this project will make finishing her that much more rewarding. But I still sometimes wonder how many other projects I could have accomplished if I had accepted done versus perfect. But for this project, I have decided that the journey to perfect is worth it. So if you have a project that's driving you crazy, remember that the journey is just as important as the result. Keep going, because in the end, the challenge only makes the reward that much sweeter. If you like what I do here, you know the drill. You can buy literally anything through the Amazon, links down in the description box, and I'll make a little bit of money. It doesn't cost any extra for you, it's just a little bit for me. Otherwise, if you want to learn how to paint non-metallic metal shields, if you want to learn about volumes, or maybe just need help with layering, check out my Patreon in the link in my description box. Thanks so much, I'll see you next time.